It's always interesting to go back through Elmore Leonard's 10 Rules of Writing. And Leonard is a novelist that basically a pulp fiction writer like myself, I guess, and when it really comes down to it. But I admired him a lot, and he's tremendous with dialogue. And he did at one point came up with these 10 rules, maybe a little bit tongue in cheek, but they're fun to go through. You can learn from them because they actually make sense. The first one is never open a book with the weather. Think of how many books open with the weather. We cross the divide, 2 o'clock by the sun, this and that. Always somehow bringing in the weather. Even these other ebook writers, I'm on some mailing lists and where they announce new releases, and they start the newsletter. They start the send out to the email group with the weather. Well, that's a lot of days of rain here in in southern England and in Alaska. We're getting into snow, this and that. I guess they're trying to establish some rapport or whatever, but they still they do that, and I kind of laugh at that after I think about Elmore Leonard. Don't start a book with the weather. They actually go further. They start their newsletter with the weather. The second is avoid prologues. I've been guilty of that. I wrote one prologue in a time travel novel where the inciting incident was 50 years before the main thing starts or something like that. It just seemed correct. But the point is, you don't have too many introductory things where the reader's not sure you're really getting started. Just start in chapter 1. Then the reader is right with you. I think that's the way to do it. Another important one, which I try to abide by, is never use a word besides said to carry dialogue. Just he said, she said. And I can see, to me, it always looks amateurish when you can tell the writer is trying to avoid using the word said, and they're using some word that really doesn't fit. It's almost a comical kind of word to avoid using said, and they have to do it over and over. Maybe there's a passage where there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of references to who's speaking, and they have to come up with 10 words on a page of writing that substitute for said because they don't want to say said. Just say said. The reader blocks it out. All the reader wants to find out is what they actually did say. You don't want to attract attention to yourself that you're again, to me, it's an amateurish thing to do that. What goes along with that is using an adverb to modify said. So the classic one is he admonished gravely. Admonished instead of just said, and then gravely how he said it. Keep your exclamation points under control. Don't go crazy with that. Don't say suddenly or all hell broke loose. Just try to figure out a different way to state a condition like that. Dialects, be careful. Regional dialects, otherwise you get caught up and then you can't control yourself, and then the novel gets away from you. Another one, avoid detailed descriptions of characters, which that goes back to Hemingway. Hemingway, you had a sense of what the person was like and actually what they looked like, and he rarely really described them. It's just through the way they talked and acted and things like that, you get a sense of the person. That's much better. It's a little harder, but it's more effective. Same thing, don't go into a huge amount of detail describing places and things. Just let the story tell the tale of that stuff. You don't need to. It's almost like you're insulting the intelligence of the reader when you go overboard with that stuff. Just let the story unfold, and the reader gets a sense of it and figures it out. And then this final thing, which is humorous, but leave out the parts that the readers tend to skip. In his case, I think what he's getting to is leave out just too much prose that doesn't involve dialogue. He figures they're not going to skip the dialogue. That's like they're watching a movie or they're watching a TV show. But too much prose, paragraphs too long, just droning on and on explaining something. I don't think you need to leave it out completely. But the point is, don't overdo that stuff. Be careful that you don't lose the reader. Okay.